surprised that, you know, there's something like 1,000 people at your event. Like, it's very high quality. Yeah, I always enjoy that. I always get some tips. I always write some tips, you know, like, okay, what Anu did here, okay, that was really good, that was really nice, and the presents, okay, this thing, and the going around, and the homework, the putting in groups, okay. Yeah. Because we also have conferences in Kharkov, and we have meetups and so forth. So you always try to learn from good people and so forth. So yeah, it was always a pleasure to work with you guys. Thank you. The only thing is that I would love to I kind of got really excited about the whole webinar thing. I even bought my own software webinars called Webinar Jam. And because it allows 500 people and it has registration page, multilingual, it can stream to Facebook, YouTube, and its own system. It can also integrate with other services for landing pages, conversion tracking, reminders. Then it has support with MailChimp and CRM and so forth. And it's like $30 a month for 500 people. So I got really excited about it after our event. Because usually I don't do a lot of online events, to be honest, but they're also yeah. Yeah. So for me personally, it would be like do maybe like online workshops where we could like teach them more in depth. I think we should try. Because we can even try a thing with one, like just to try one. I'm not even like technical with, you know, or whatever, I don't care. But what we want to do, even with this group, like a one extra, and just to see like, hey guys, would you be interested in a 2-hour webinar where we go into like one topic, but we don't like show presentations. We share screen and get on it. And we explain and so forth, because the webinar also gets recorded and they can come back to it anytime.
Сейчас нет. Сори.
Телефон обов'язково.
А ваша фамілія?
Мені цікаво, скільки задають самі, такі досить складні. Ну, але там такі дискусії серйозні точаться. Я подивилася, в чим виявляється позитивний спостереження. Про речення там такі були, я кажу, вже очевидно то речення. Я просто їм приклади даю з живих систем інформаційних. Я кажу, значить, речення вже отримали цей час, вони поставили новий, значить, знайдемо питання.
Ну, як аграрка, в принципі, як і сімейним бізнесом раніше займалася, якийсь час більш стабільно, якісь там мала більше відношення до міжнародних проєктів, шведським працювала, потім з американським одним працювала рік, а зараз в мене більше агробізнес плюс тиждень тому запустила консалтинговий напрямок. Теж спрямована на малий середній бізнес, але який базується на сільській території, селах, містах. У нас юридичне консультування, бухгалтерський супровід, залучне фінансування. Теж можливо запити по виходу на зовнішні ринки, тому можемо співпрацювати десь.
Зараз так синтезую свої знання і похожу на експертні стратегії. Скажімо, що це так воно кристалізується типу експертів і відповідно до типу, що потрібно виконати.
Я не впевнена, я знаю Олексія Жириновського, вже знаю, що студентських часів. Ми ж тоді бачилися. А ми з ним бачилися ще в пізніше. Так вийде через перший ряд.
Колеги, доброго ранку. Ми розпочинаємо наш 4-й живий семінар в рамках програми Ефективна. Дякую, що ви з нами. Хотів запросити зараз до слова Ану-Мал Наарітса, яка є директором Інституту маркетингу в Естонії. І сьогодні вона розповідатиме про те, як компаніям бути краще і ефективніше на міжнародних виставках. За години-півтори у нас буде невеликий кава-брейк, потім блок запитань та відповідей до спікера. Тому, будь ласка, приєднуйтесь. І після першої частини у нас буде перерва 1 годину на обід. І серед вас є учасники нашого курсу Advanced, тому ми вас запрошуємо залишитись сьогодні до 6 години вечора на другу частину, де, власне, у нас буде проходити тренінг з нашим тренером Артемом. Ми його представимо пізніше. Артем, hello. Так, будь ласка, залишайтесь з нами. Ану-Мал, прошу вас.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, and good morning to everyone. And I'm so happy to have you here. Today we will talk about trade fairs and how to get the maximum result out of trade fair. Before we start, just a short story. I remember my first trade fair when we made a booth or a stand ourselves. It was several years ago in Estonia, and it was a company that was producing cameras, security cameras, and we almost didn't have any money at all to make a stand, so we had to be creative. And then what we came out with was that we created a small garden, put a bit grass on the garden, just rolled out grass, and then we went to a zoo and borrowed some rabbits. Put the rabbits there, put the cameras on, and then everyone wanted to see a rabbit through a camera. So everyone was watching there how the rabbits moving. It was a great opportunity because people slowed down, and it was easier to start to talk to them, to start to introduce the company, the cameras and everything, and to get the contact. So I think that this was the first experience about how you can do almost a lot of things without almost no money. Of course, when you talk about international trade fairs, nowadays it's much more complicated. You cannot be just bring rabbits and grass and make a beautiful booth, but still the thinking that it has to be different, it has to be something that presents your company. And also what we have learned during the last years, that it's a long-term investment in the trade fair. You start at a very small booth, and then you grow during the years until it might be in some years your kind of major event where you really can sign the contracts, but it's difficult to do it during the first year. Often it doesn't happen. But I'll explain you the logic, and I'll explain you also how you can get really maximum out of the trade fair. I personally love trade fairs. We have done a lot of trade fair trainings and also coaching, and I love to be in the stand, working really there with my team. So I pretty much know how to approach people, I've practiced it, I've coached people, helped them, observed. I think that this is the only way how you really practically can learn. But now, before we start from you, and as usual, those who have been in my trainings already know that I want to know what you want to know today. So you have a minute to think out at least one question. You can do it in pairs or in groups. And then I put it as a guidelines here so that I know that what is your special interest for today. And I will book half an hour during the training or at the end of the training to go through all the questions one by one. So everything that is interesting there, you need to get answers about the trade fairs. Just ask. Okay? Can we do so that, can you divide yourself into groups, or do you need my help? You can manage. Okay.
Groups like what?
Into the groups, let's say 3, 4 would be okay. Find friends, try to group, and I'll give you 2 minutes to find at least one question that you want to know. And this time starts now.
Тобто як є скрипти для спілкування, методика, яка їх підробляти, як вона їх розмір. Ключові питання. Ключові тезиси.
Мені нещодавно запропонували звідки є, що мабуть треба обрати
Саме холодний, так, просто
При прийнятті рішення щодо готовності експоненту.
So, shall we generate only one question? Or
You can have more. At least one.
Okay, we have
So it's a trade fair worthiness.
yeah, maybe.
Я думаю, що важливо, в принципі, розказати про слідуючу методику спілкування, як правильно розповідаєш далі, після ну, це таке стандартне, так. І не все, що все складне просте.
Ну, а що саме?
Мені просто цікаво, як ви бачите.
This was the 2 minutes you had, and let's start from the last row, as usual. What is your question for today? I'll start with you. What is your question for today? Hi.
There are still lots of printed material, physically printed leaflets on the trays. Keeping in mind the intermediation that go into internet of the customers and in general less usage of the printed leaflets, how seeing by your eyes and understanding the worldwide concept of the trade fairs, how you would advise, should we go still for the printed materials, innovates, or try to find some innovative internet-based solutions where the customer puts his own account and then receives all information on his Gmail scale or whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you. We'll cover that. What's your question? Yeah. I don't know how to group, but you split. Okay.
Group and a little bit different companies. We are working in service area, and my colleague is working in provision of logistics service. So more or less similar in this part. So actually, we have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is. What are the main steps or main topics to be covered in the preparation time before trade fair to facilitate, to maximize the time frame within the event itself?
Okay.
And the second one is what are the main or most important things to be considered during fair itself to maximize communication and attraction of potential partners, potential clients.
So how to find the main contacting points during communication on the fair trade?
Sorry, I just wrote this question, so can you repeat?
This is a kind of the same question. How to find the communication points between client and, for example, my company during communication on the fair. Okay. So the main points, how to find, with what to start.
It's application. Ідея взагалі маніпулятивних прибирань, цифрову модель і як один з цікавих, я хочу зараз розказати.
Okay, thank you a lot. And you were another group, yeah?
Yes. We have two questions. The first one is that we have some rules on the trade fair, and we have a lot of faces and people walking around, and maybe this is some flow here by our booth, and we would like to know some exact phrases to start communications. What is the most efficient phrase to stop people, to provoke some interest to us, and to start communication with someone? Would it be very exact phrases or general phrases, or what are points to act on them with high percentage of useful negotiations after that?
Okay.
And another question is, if this communication have started, what type of materials should be provided? We are thinking about the most simple materials from one hand, for example, visit cards, or from a leaflet or something like that. And the other side of the scale is that something frame contract agreement. And
okay.
What is the best?
truth is somewhere in between. Okay.
Yes. What is the best material to move to some decision?
Okay, I'll explain the logic, how it goes, but it's a very good question. Put here the contract as well. Excellent, thank you a lot. There is a couple after you also, so I turn to you now, and then I'll continue.
We're interested in social media marketing. For example, which Instagram or Facebook pages we should create, and which information should we fill in, and how to manage all these accounts in the right way to get the most successful result.
How
maybe
You mean
advice-
in the context of trade fair
Yes.
or in general? In the context of trade fair?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Maybe one-page website or Facebook pages. I don't know what is the most successful for you.
Thank you a lot. It's a very good question. And now I'm turning to you. How you were one group, or did you split?
Yes.
One group.
One big
Okay.
group, so-
With 5 questions.
3 questions we have.
Excellent.
The first one is about trade fair scripts. So how to elaborate them, how to work on them, and how to test them. You know, it's a kind of scenario of interaction with your potential clients. Like, he approaches you, you know what you should say, the first phrase, then depending on his reaction, you continue communication, so you have the whole logic already tried and tested beforehand.
Okay.
Well, you talk smoothly. So it's about these scripts. Second, how to define if a company is ready for a trade fair as exponent, because we know it's an investment. So how a company can evaluate whether it's time really to invest into participation. And the third one, how to proceed after the trade fair.
Thank you. Excellent questions. And we move to you. Are you discussing together? Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we have one question. How budget for exhibition for STEM is connected with creativity? Do you have maybe examples how with low cost expenses perceive at the end a great idea of clients to increase interest maybe on clients? Or there is some kind of level maybe. For example, if you don't have $100,000, you shouldn't start exhibition at all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
We have 2 questions. First of them is how to involve another exhibitors to communication, to find partners, not to be competitors, but to be partners, and to find partners on the new market. How to start communication with another exhibitors.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
The second one is I just like to know maybe your opinion of you, or maybe your, according to your experience, the most innovative, most modern, techniques and tools how to engage the visitors of exhibitions to your stand in B2B market.
Thank you. Turning to you.
Our question is how to communicate with visitors of trade fair to have the best result. For example, to sign a contract right during the exhibition. B2B contracts.
What field are you working on? What are you producing or what are you providing?
We are producing furniture, children furniture.
Children furniture, okay. And it's a business-to-business fair you're going, or is it end consumer fair?
Mostly business-to-business.
Mostly business-to-business. Okay, thank you. I don't know, do you split somehow? You go together, okay.
Okay, our questions is how to sum up in the best way. So it's about conclusion, how we should stimulate our potential clients to buy our products, for example. How to describe it.
You mean how to sum up the conversation with the client, or how to sum up the trade fair in general?
For example, first of all, for us it's interesting how to get attention.
Okay.
And after this conversation, it's really interesting for us how to sum up, how to stimulate maybe for some results, for getting over, for example.
Okay, very good. You were okay together. Okay, any other questions in there? Almost everything is here. Excellent. Let's try to cover them today. For the first, can you raise hands who have been in a trade fair with your own stand more than 6 times, 5 or 6 times?
I'm afraid
with your own stand.
To this trip.
With your own stand, you have with your own stand, not as a visitor. In international. In international trade fair more than 6 times. Okay. What fair?
It was medical fairs, medical tours and medical equipment.
Okay, very good. Who have been 2 to 3 times in an international fair with your own stand? Okay. 2 to 3. Okay, very good. Who have been once? Okay, and who have never been with your own stand? Okay, we have a wide variety here. So, what I encourage you also, those who have been more like you, just feel free to share your experience as well, because we can learn a lot from each other. I go and learn, and you learn from each other and what the others do, what is successful and what not. So, everyone, if you have ideas, feel free. Now, the second question what I have, for those who have been in the fairs, can you please record how many contacts, in average, did you collect during the trade fair?
50, 60.
100.
100, 50, 60 together, or per event?
It depends on the event itself.
It depends, of course, but how many kind of roughly?
The biggest exhibition, it's from 50 to 100.
From 50 to 500, 100, okay? Someone more?
Around 30 for fashion exhibitions, because I go to fashion exhibitions.
About 30, okay, around 30, okay.
Business cards I got.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Business cards, contacts around 30. Okay, now you see, it's important that you share the information with each other. Then you know what the others are getting. Now, who have, how many leads that turned to purchase per fair do you get?
1 to 10%.
1 to 2?
10% of clients.
If you have 50 to 100 leads, then 5 to 10 turn to purchase. What field are you working at?
Consulting and logistics.
Consulting logistics. Okay, okay, good. The others? About 100, around, if you get 100 contract, how many sales do you get out of it? How many customers who buy?
1 to 2% from general amount.
How many?
From 1 to 2%.
From 1 to 2%. Okay, the others? Okay, this is something we see also in Estonia. Often it's so that this is the statistics. And I think that if you know the statistics of the others, then the challenge for you always is, how can we improve? How can we get more contacts right contacts, and how can we get the people who are really going to buy from us in the future. This is really challenging, because the challenge with the trade fair is that it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of to prepare, to be there, and this is a time where you cannot use doing other things, because you have to focus on the fair. It's a lot of energy, and you have to know how to maximize the results. The better you know the conversion and the amount of contacts you can collect, the easier it is for you to set the goals for the next fair. Mm-hmm. I have a good example. It was Estonian fair for travel. Estonian British travel fair, and I had a team there who was working there, a team with consultant help. And we started with them last year, just during the fair, and we couldn't give them much input. And I told them, okay, you have to go to the fair and to get as many contacts as you can. They came back, they were very happy. I asked, how many contacts did you get? They told me, we had 365 contacts. Wow, well done. I thought, for 4 days, how many people you were there? 10 people in the stand? 365 contacts only? We can do better, I told them. They didn't believe. This year we were there, and I was telling them, okay, the only focus is to get the contacts. You have to really focus on that. You have to do the schedules. I explained you also how I did it. And you really have to focus on contacts to maximize the amount that you get out of it. Mm-hmm. Can you guess how many contacts did they get this year?
500.
500? Mm-hmm. Okay, any other guesses?
1,000.
1,000, any other guesses? Difficult to know more or less, yeah? Yes. 2,000. A bit more than 2,000. They were exhausted after the fair, because they've worked so hard focusing just on the parts. We have to create the booth so it's easy to gather the contacts. We try to train the people so they understand what do they exactly need to do there, how to focus. And we managed somehow to create a queue. So there were a lot of people in front of our booth all the time. It meant that everyone was looking, oh, what is happening there? I need to know. It created a lot of attraction. So we could increase the amount of contacts considerably by just focusing on one thing. And this was, I think, the great lesson learned what we had.
Why was it so important to collect so many contacts? I ask it because for me, you use trade fair to get contact, of course, but you can get contact from trade fair database. You have to make small impression. You have to be able to categorize client in your mind. Otherwise, after the trade fair, you have several thousand contacts, but the amount of work for processing of this big number of cards will be extreme. So is it really the point?
Yeah, for this fair it was the point, really, to get at the contacts, because it's a cluster and we need to build up a database, so that was the reason why we were there, so really. But of course, you can have so many different reasons why you go to the trade fair. You can have so many different goals, and that's why we start from what could be your goals for a trade fair in general. And it's very important, the question like you asked, what is really important? What do we want to get out of it? How many contacts? Is visibility important? Or are there any other things that really matter for our work? So this is the first step to start
And
from.
also equally important is to be able to quickly determine if it is your client, if it is your contact or not, right?
Of course, don't take this example as the standard for you, because it was more about business to consumer fair. So in that fair, you can work with thousands of contacts. But business to business fair, probably it's not reasonable, it's not something you're going to achieve. So that's correct. So it depends on a lot. What fair are you participating? What type of fair it is? Can you sell there? Or can't you? Is it just business to business contacts? There are so many different formats, so many different sizes, so you really have to know why you are going there and what your goals are. But let's go now to the goals part. What can you possibly achieve or do in the trade fair, what the results could be. Okay, you should, by the way, you get the slides. So you can do the pictures, it's okay for me, but you can get the slides afterwards. Let's start from the beginning. Visibility. One of the most important things when you go to the trade fair is to be visible. Why?
So, to get in mind.
To get to people's minds, and and also to create trust. In international business, we have talked so much about it. The basis for any sales you do is that, do I trust you really? Do I trust you as a person? Do I trust your company? And in marketing, we know, or in communications, the more they know you, the more they tend to trust. So that is important. And if you are visible, they become to know you. So when you go for the first time, then it's really important to think about how would they see me? How can I be visible? Now, let's brainstorm a bit. What things can you do in order to be visible in a trade fair?
Hire attractive presenters.
Attractive presenters, okay. What else?
Pretty women's.
Yes? What else?
Like attractive stand design.
Attractive stand design.
Regional fascia panel.
Okay.
Souvenirs. Something which will connect with the person in interest.
What souvenirs are the best?
We used to
From visibility point of view.
From visibility, not too big maybe, and everyday use.
Like packages.
Like pens.
Packages.
Like packages, for instance.
We used to.
Notes also with the logos.
Notebooks, yeah, it works after the fair, but during the trade fair usually the cool facts. Yeah, because there are still a lot of papers and everyone is looking, wow, there's a cool bag, where I can get it. Often it's so, oh, it's in there, okay, I'll go and get one. Recently in Finland, in their travel fair, there was a company, instead of bags, they gave out, what's the name in English?
Carton trolleys.
Plastic, what you use to have water in.
Balloon?
No.
Bottles.
Canister.
Not a canister.
Big bottles.
My drawing is not the best.
Buckets.
Yeah, okay. So this was something that you said, okay, what do they have? How do I get it? It's the first thing, that's something you can carry. If it's more like end consumer fair, something you can put on, or balloons, always help. Easy things that help to get the visibility during the fair, in the fair area. What else can you do? Audio. Yes, audio is something that you can use. Sometimes there are restrictions, how much you can use, how loud it can be, but if there is not, audio is very good to check always if you can use something. A presenter, a musician, someone doing the presentation, and having loudspeakers, so that's good. What else?
Free Wi-Fi instead.
Free Wi-Fi, yes, but it's not visibility. Then you have to communicate it clearly that this is a free Wi-Fi area for our customers. If you can make it visible, excellent. What else?
Virtual reality. Like I can show what I mean right now because we are preparing this exhibition, and here is a 3D image.
Okay.
Here. And
how can I see it? With the glasses?
No, you can see it by my...
I can see it in the booth, so there is something happening.
It's like, virtual. Yeah, it's virtual,
okay.
Like for cell phones, or from iPad, and from some others.
So it means that I need to come to a booth, I need to take a phone,
yes.
And I need to look something, and there is someone who has to tell me that pick the phone, do this, and then you can see something.
Yeah, but actually it's also work like that. Some of people do it in the your stand, and everybody like what they're doing there. Let's see.
Okay.
And
okay.
And actually in practice it don't make. It's not really very practical thing in the construction designer like this model, but it's very attractive for in the exhibition, and
Okay.
it's one of the like marketing.
Okay. Because what I see actually is that there are a bunch of people looking at the booth with the phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I see
Yeah.
as an outsider.
And also,
Okay.
for example, you can make, you can use our laptop, and in our laptop, which connect to the plasma TV, you can change in the building exterior of the building and do some changes, change colors and some other things, and do it like very easy with 2 clicks in the mouse.
Okay, very good. If it's something that is visible for the audience,
Yes.
for the bypassers, it will work. Okay. What else can you do to be visible?
Smell.
No, I had to.
Bright yellow jacket.
Bright yellow jackets. Yes.
And will increase my visibility.
Absolutely. It will increase, and even not only being in the booth, but the same thing when you are in the conference room. Everyone will look, wow, bright yellow jacket. It's so seldom you see it. Excellent. And you offered
It's a special smell, but not a bad one, but some pleasant smell.
Yes, the smells work subconsciously, but it's
not like perfume, but
yeah, I know. With the perfumes, it might be difficult because some people are allergic, and that's why you have to always think that if you use a smell, that there are not allergic people in your booth working there, because for them it might be really problematic, and for the customers as well. But in general, the smell or offering free coffee, that creates also smell, is a good idea. Yes. What else? To get visibility.
You need some kind of stoppers, some leaf girls or paper girls with our slogan partners.
Yeah.
It's true.
Prototypes.
Always work.
Or promoters who are in equipment, maybe to make photos with.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Maybe some robots.
Is it sexist?
Robots.
Yeah, of course, can be used also. Okay, anything else?
Together.
Okay, we have covered a lot of things. There are some more things I will come back to that. So, if your challenge is, if you are there in the trade fair for the first or second or even third time, during that year it's crucial that you are visible. And the visibility usually does not mean only that we have a cool booth somewhere. Often it's difficult for you as a first-time participant in the fair to get a really excellent booth. Because most of the booths are the best places, the best locations are already booked for years and years for the bigger players. So you have to start from the very small one, and that's why you have to work actually extra hard to be visible. Because it's really important that people have seen or noticed something about you before they come to you next to your booth. So the visibility is important. Let's go on. To get new contacts, what can you do for that?
I'm sorry, going back to this still question. Do you know if companies ever use external advertisements in order to make them, how to say, searchable, findable on the fair, like a board or something along the road, like this? Do they use?
It's very often used. The problem often is that next to the fair trade, it depends on the fair. And next to the trade fairs, usually there are not very many kind of spaces where you can put something. But I've seen companies during advertisement during the trade fairs, or before that a couple of days, telling that hello, we are there. Of course, it depends on the company. I've seen ads in trade in trade magazines about that we are going to be in the trade fair. We are looking for new agents from this region. Please come and meet us. So to have a kind of advertising campaign before a trade fair, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's also a good thinking out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not limited.
Yeah. And it's also often there are companies who try to, maybe it's not even an advertising. Sometimes you can have your own, I don't know, to create something, to create a small house in front of the trade fair area. So everyone who comes in sees your small house, and it's not so noisy, it's not so overcrowded, you can get a bit more attention. Of course it will cost you extra, but often from visibility point of view, it's worth to make a try.
For example, before each event, in every country we were studying the market, and we were looking for the companies that may be interested in our products, and we were done postal mailing with printed letters, and we were inviting our potential partners, and we were drawing like a map where they can find our booth. So you are entering this entrance and turning left, so here is our booth, so please come. And usually people are coming even from other cities. For example, if we are organizing in Istanbul, I don't know, no matter, doesn't matter. They're coming from Ankara, from Antalya, and other cities, so, because they are interested in the.
Absolutely. It's a very good idea. Pre-mailing, especially when you go to business fair. In business to consumer, it's really difficult to do a mailing and then replace it with advertising campaign. Outdoor advertising, you can have radio advertising, what is local, whatever you want to use it, it's like an end consumer market. In business to business markets, often, and now those who have been in our training now, you know that you probably start with a market research. You have already mapped maybe 20 customers, potential, maybe 40, maybe 50. Often the lists are not longer, and it's important for you to meet these people at the fair. Okay, this is the logic. And what you can do, and what I would suggest to do, is really to do some kind of mailing before the fair. You can send anything. You can send catalogs. You can send a small gift, just telling that, okay, please open the box, and there is much more to continue, much more to follow in our trade fairs. I remember someone had a campaign using keys, and it was, I think it was also business-to-business campaign. They were sending keys to our potential customers, and the story was like, welcome to our booth, and there is one key that is going to open a lock, welcome to try, and this key that opens a lock will win something.
It's work in a big exhibition when, for example, where we will be exhibitors like after 1 month, and we got our identity number, like promo code, which we send to our B2B customers, and then they can go free to this exhibition. And the good story also of this that we get the full list of the name of company who use our promo code, and it's also good work with this contact.
Okay, very good. But it's important also that you get them to your booth, not just to the event. Okay, so they have to come to your stand and talk to you. So be creative there. And business to business, as I say, it's also about the people. Finally, they are mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers who come there, and finally they are all humans. So, of course, it's different setting, but still, it's people we talk about. So you can be creative in the business-to-business fair, especially before the fair, introducing yourself. With the emails and direct mails, the good things are people are going to receive it because the secretaries have been instructed. If there is a mail coming to this person, they take the package of the mail and put it to that person's table. If you send randomly out emails, it's in a spam folder in the best case. In the worst case, they send you an email telling that please never contact us again because we didn't give you any permission to write to us. So with the email, it's not very good. You can use emails just for the contacts you know, who have agreed that you are communicating with them with emails, but the direct mail is okay. So feel free to do it. But the question is also that try to not do it in a very kind of late stage. The earlier the better, because the communication intensifies towards the event, and then there is a lot of noise and everyone is booking the meetings and trying to fit it into the calendar, and the earlier you are there, the better chances you have to be considered.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have a question. You say that it's better to send emails to those that they have agreed to receive those emails, but if it's a new contact, how do they agree?
You cannot, let's say so that I'll come back to this a bit later, but if it concerns European Union, then there is a new law going to be effective from 25th of May that means that you cannot send emails to the people who have not agreed to have it.
Really?
Really. And it's a very tough law, and it concerns everyone who does business in European Union or has information about private persons in European Union. And the private person means that the name of the marketing manager, name, title, phone number, email. Mass mailing, absolutely out. Don't buy any list, don't do it. Give them a call. Hello, I'm from this company. I would like to talk to you. You can send that direct mail, it's okay. In old countries, we have talked even that you can send a fax. I know that Estonians, if I'm saying in Estonia, they say that they don't remember how did a fax machine look like. But in Germany, for instance, in several companies, fax is absolutely okay to send an invitation for a trade fair. So you have to understand the market and the ways how they work there. It's okay. It's okay really to send a mail, to call, but for emails you really have to have agreement that yes, I want it.
I'm sorry, from which time it started?
It's from 25th of March. And, sorry, May. And the code name, just for you to Google, is GDPR and 25th May 18.
So and there will be legal proceedings if you like break the law? Or?
Yeah, the law is the law is important that just for them from that point of view, because the fines that you can get are very high. They say that the fines are up to 20 million euros or 4% of your turnover, depending what is higher. I did the math and I thought that, okay, should I stop my business now? Okay, it means that you have to be compliant. You have to know what the law is about if you do business in European Union. Every company in Europe is now trying to be compliant. It's a separate story. We can do it probably take a bit more. I can explain you next time when I'm back here in April. Then you have a month to just figure it through. Maybe it's not so tough for you. I don't know. But for other companies in Europe, it's really tough, and everyone is prepared for that.
I suspect that this legislation should have pretty many exceptions. Otherwise, it just blocks communication because
there are no exceptions in whatsoever.
Look, because unsolicited phone call, how much is different from this one?
Yeah, now the phone call is okay. You can have phone calls by the law, but there is another law coming, so we'll see. But the data protection is a really important topic, so try to familiarize, so at least you know the principles, what they expected from you. And I'm not going to go deeper in this.
Sorry, one more question. For example, if a company is writing their email on the website, official website, so you cannot communicate as info, etc.
Yeah, the invite is okay.
Oh, okay.
Invite is okay, but often the problem is that no one is answering the invite emails. This is something that directly goes to spam folder. Sometimes they do answer. Info is okay, but if it's a personal mail, then it's a question. And what I don't know, if I have put my personal email on my website, is it okay if they send me the emails? I don't know it now. I have to also go into the law, and in a month's time I know more, and I can explain more about what it's about. But now I'm kind of learning the same thing. Which one?
I'm sorry, what about the kind of permission for using email? Should it be written? Or it can be verbal?
Preferably it's written. I want your email, I want personal offers, I want whatever things you want to do with it. I do agree that you give my data for Facebook to do advertising for me. If you have these ticks, it's perfect. You're covered. Okay. So, about the new contacts. So there are things that you can do. Present yourself before the fair, ask them to come to meet you. Okay, what else can we do with new contacts?
Sorry, regarding Facebook event, is it efficient to create Facebook events that like some company will be present at some exhibition?
With a Facebook, it's a bit problematic. It depends on your market a lot. But what we see in business-to-business occasions, in European market, people more and more use LinkedIn, and they say that Facebook is just for private occasions. So you really have to know, do they use Facebook for business? If they do, it might be okay. If they don't do, then LinkedIn is always kind of the first choice. What you can have, it's professional.
Now Facebook is a bit sensitive area. They use so yes.
Okay.
And
So
do you know if LinkedIn has some kind of similar functionality like Facebook Friends?
no, but they have groups, and I think that LinkedIn groups are rather good. Because you can choose, you can ask people to join, you can choose who is joining, and you can have the communication. So I think that in professional terms it works better. But they don't have the event functionality, at least as much as I know. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then the next here is about warming up new contacts, or warming up old contacts. What can you do for that? And how do you have the old contacts, really?
How you get old contacts?
Warm up contacts, the old ones.
For example, to organize special meeting or after party for all the clients, just to how much we appreciate them, just like some meeting with our top management.
Okay, very good. Just in a bit broader perspective, let's say that it's 2 years here. And you have a trade fair, the first one here. You come back from the trade fair, and the statistics as you told. You had 100 contacts, and you had 5 of them, 5 sales. 5 of them bought something, and that leaves that 95 actually didn't do anything. Okay? These are the people you're contacting next year, telling them that welcome to our booth. Whatever reason happened here, why they didn't do any business with you. And often, even if they say that your price is high, or the quality is not good, or whatever they say you, usually the biggest thing is that they don't know you, they don't trust you, they just don't dare to do business with you. So it's important, yeah, we are coming back, and these 95 contacts, please come to our booth. And these are the contacts. They were there last year. You gave them some kind of impression. Something happened why it didn't turn to business. But these are the people I'm asking to come, okay? This is my next trade fair, okay? These are the old contacts. And then I'm coming back again. My 100, let's say maybe this year I had more, let's say I have 100 contacts, 5 of them turned to business, and then I had already 95 contacts from last year. So for the next year I have 95 and 95 from here. Okay, you see how it's growing year by year. You have more and more of the contacts with whom you have met once, twice, and in business to business it really takes time until you come to sale. Often it's about 5, 6, sometimes 10 contacts, 10 times you meet people, and then they start to trust you, and then they think that, okay, it's a great company, it's a great person, I can have business with them. So this is the idea of having a long-term view of the trade fairs and building on the contacts you have. Probably, if you've done a good marketing plan and work, probably you had some chance to contact with them meanwhile as well, okay? Because you met them, you talked to them, you understand that somehow, there was a reason why they were giving you a business card, really. So, building on that, and it's a long-term investment in trade fair, so the old contacts are very important. Let them know that you are there, ask them to come again. Things change, strategies change, management change, people change, and they finally, in some years' time, realize that, wow, you're a great company and we would love to do something together with you. Okay? Then next, get to know clients' needs. What can you do for that?
I think it's in warm-up contacts or email senders, just ask clients what kind of information do they need.
Okay.
And try to ask them to write exact what kind of message you need and promise to be ready with answers during the
Okay, that's good. What else?
You can organize expert panel. Everybody likes talking, so why not, you know, speak them free drinks and get them talk.
Excellent, very good. And you can listen and put your notes and see how the field is covered.
But
very good.
How to attract them? Time is very valuable at a trade fair. How to make them stay?
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a good question. And what always has is that you have a lot of priorities what you have to do during the trade fair. But I think your idea with the expert panel is really excellent, because if you can put an expert panel into an official program of a trade fair, if you start the very last moment, it's not possible because all the times are booked. If you start in a good time for preparation, there is always, or in most of the cases, there is some kind of events or conference program accompanied with a trade fair. In most of the cases, book your slot and tell that you have the expert panel. And believe me, people would love to participate. And they will make the time available, because I'm participating in a panel of this trade fair. Believe me, it's very, very seldom when they say that no. And then often they have really other priorities, they are traveling around or something happened in the family, then they say no. But often they are so happy if you ask, because maybe no one asked them to participate there, and they are really happy. So I think it's a really smart idea. Of course, you cannot have hundreds in the expert panel, but you can have the most valuable people coming there. And of course, if you have already 3 persons who have told yes, then for the rest of 3, you can tell that, okay, I have yes from these people, would you come to join? So it's a very good trick.
And as a pre-course for this expert panel, it is good to have sort of direct mailing and calls. We are considering you to invite you for an expert panel. Would you care to job at Uftides? And please confirm your participation. We'll be glad to meet you with our CEO, etc., etc.
Excellent, very good. So, so it comes to the. So one of the ways to listen and get to know. Why did you have the surveys or something before the fair? Anything else what you can do?
For example, here in Ukraine, before taking part in a proficient exhibition, we made our own research with this group of clients. We spoke with them, we make an interview, we find out what kind of needs do they need in their business, and when we were on exhibition, we communicate with other clients with the information we received background, and we told them on their language. So if you're worried about quality, we make control. Don't worry about time for delivery. We have such variants how to make it faster, quicker, slower, and so on.
Okay. Very good.
So it was like pre-research before exhibition.
Very good. So you can do a lot of things to understand the clients and customers' needs. Sales to new existing customers. What can you do in order to get sales, not just contacts?
Offers.
Products.
You can do offers. What else?
Present new product on exhibition and make contracts. If we write down contract here on exhibition, you will receive something extra, or you will find out more, or we will give you, I don't know, maybe an education for this program for free for your company.
Very good.
Some idea for exhibition.
What else?
Special conditions during the exhibition, special prices.
Okay.
Bring the CEO or the one who can make decision on the spot. So here's our boss. If you shake hands, then this is deal.
Okay, very good. Good. What else? Okay, let's move on. Introduce clients to the top management. Yeah, the same thing.
Invite CEO and spoke to everyone that during all exhibition, CEO of our company will be here, so you can speak and get or not to get special offers.
Very good. It's
I'm sorry, retrospecting previous point. As far as I know, quite often the companies which participate for many years in trade fairs, they meet there, among other things, to sign contracts. So they discuss, they negotiate before the trade fair, and during the trade fairs there are first persons, decision makers, and so they sign contracts. Shall we consider it a sale or not, I don't know.
Okay. Of course, I come back to this point and then to the CEOs. For signing contracts, yes, it might happen. You have to prepare. But what do you see when we look at how Estonian companies have kind of developed the trade fair behavior? That often it's so that when you work with the same scheme, 100 contacts every year, and you have been there for 10 years, then pretty much the situation is to say that, okay, we know most of the people who are there. The old people come back, those who were last year there, they tend to come back, say hello to you, you are still there, and they are also attracting the new ones. We have an Estonian company, we have a case study, Kati, I don't know, have we published the case study with Raul?
Yes.
We have, okay. With Raul Lähtemägi, who does the artificial grass fields for football fields. And one of the companies, our German consultants call them like a hidden champion. So they do something really well. And how they work is that they have an exhibition every second year. And they started with a very, very small booth there at the beginning and have been there for 15 years. And now it works so that they have several hundreds of square meters of booths in the main event. And today, the work is divided so that they have the sales managers for different regions. Sales managers for Germany, sales managers for France, sales managers for the rest of the Europe, for UK. They have divided the world into different parts. They have, the booth is only consisting of meeting rooms, and the schedule is full booked, because the season is very short. They can change the artificial grass fields only only a couple of months during a year. And the season is very short, and now they say that, okay, the fair is the only place almost where you can sign the contracts with us. You come, you have a meeting, you talk about your fields, we know what situation your fields are, because they have mapped most of the football fields in Europe. They know that, okay, this grass was chosen, replaced there for 10 years ago, okay, we can come this time to your market and to do this. So they pretty much do only sales. In the booth, they told that the biggest challenge is how to keep out people who don't have an appointment. So they have someone standing there, do you have an appointment? What time? Okay, then you can go in. You don't have an appointment, sorry, welcome back next time. And that's it. So this is how they work. They don't have a sales team. The only sales is done during the fair. For the next 2 seasons, then it's booked, and then they are going there again. Okay, we'll take in now new orders. But it took them 15 years to reach at the same fair, to be there, to grow, to grow, to grow. Of course, they have very good references. Everyone knows what they do, and in that sense, they can develop.
What company is it?
Sorry?
What company is it?
Well, I don't know the name,
It's B2B?
but it's
B2B company, yeah?
I see Europe. Advanced Sports Installation Europe. And they do artificial grass, change artificial grass, or replace artificial grass fields in football. It's a very niche market, really. But they do it extremely well. They have very good scientific approach how they do. They are much quicker. They have found different machinery for doing that, and really focusing on only one thing. So it's a good case study. We have published it also in our as part of the case study. So welcome to listen a bit more how do they do the business. So this is one of the things we see.
And how does they make announcements before the exhibition? For example, they are making some announcements like we are going to take part here and there.
Yeah, they communicate with the customers and telling, okay, we are there in the trade fair, I need you to participate, okay, I'll book you this slot, you can talk to our German country management. Yeah. So it's pre-booked meetings, really. Nothing occasional. They don't go there to just wait, is there any customers coming? They are just there, everything is pre-booked, almost no time left, and the only thing for them is that how can we have so many sales managers at the same time? And as they don't have sales departments, it's often agents who are working there as sales managers in the booth, so they have to maximize really the benefit of the couple of days that they have in the trade fair. It takes time, but kind of really, and this is what I say when I say that it's a long-term investment. It will start working, but you need to push on. Okay? And the top management, this was something I wanted to come back to also. It's really important that as a salesperson you understand that, I know it's difficult for Estonia, probably in Ukraine it's different, but for Estonia we have a very flat country. It means that everyone can go to our president and say hello and shake hands, and it's okay. And the president has different trade missions and all the companies go there despite your size, and it's okay for our country because this is our culture. We don't have very big companies, we are small and we are pretty much almost equal. This means that we don't have feelings for, or we don't understand hierarchy. We cannot understand that someone is a higher boss, that the owner is bigger boss than I'm just working as a project manager or sales manager. For us it's difficult, and I have to tell Estonians that, you know, it's important that your boss is there. I do understand that the boss might be your team member. Really, I understand that, but there he's a boss. He's a CEO, or he is a director, and the levels communicate to each other. Owners communicate to owners, CEOs communicate to CEOs, and the purchasing guys communicate to sales guys. Oh my God, thank you. And this is why it's important. When you realize that there is a hierarchy, then you understand also why the owners often don't want to talk to you, because you are just a sales guy. Not that you're a bad person, but you have just in a different layer of the hierarchy. And I know so many times Estonian companies have been pushing that we want to talk to the decision makers, the directors, the managers, the top managers, but it just doesn't work. You have to be at the right level. Okay, your CEO talks to other CEO, it's okay. So be prepared for that, and meeting-wise as well. And it's very okay to book meetings for your CEOs. It's very okay to have dinner with the CEO, to have a reception, special reception, to host a lunch, to host an event during the fair. Use the hierarchy. I think that you're more maybe used to the hierarchy than we are, and it's easy for you. Then of course mapping new trends. How can you know new trends in a fair? What sources do you have?
Competitors.
Competitors? Yeah. What else?
Conferences.
Conferences. Good. What else?
Clients again.
Clients again.
Clients.
Yeah.
Partners.
Partners. Yes. What else? Sometimes it's worth to take a look also what do they talk during the press conferences. The competitors, partners, maybe the not even the partners, but the thinkers or gurus of the industry say that, okay, these are the new trends. So often these are also connected.
Some companies use fairs to make a promotion of a new product, like a test market.
Yeah.
They present and they start thinking, is it going to sell, what opponent say, what about concurrents, other companies, and the result, like, do it or not do it.
Very good. It's a very good example. Okay? Analyzing competitors, how can you do this?
Secret service.
How does it mean? Going with the camera?
Go with the camera, collect contact, leave your contacts after exhibition, speak with clients. Understand, did they recall you for the next time, for the 3 weeks? Did they recall at all? Maybe they forgot about you. What was the communication, with whom, how often, how quick, what the documents were?
Very good. Okay. Just that you can analyze, be aware of the data protection laws, but you cannot have any personal information, but about the company, it's kind of okay. Okay? Testing new product services we talked about, and the monitoring the development is often also about the new trends. And then come back here, media contacts. How can you work with the media contacts during the trade fair?
There are lots of journalists who try to find something new, to make video materials, photo materials, but it's again, it's if it's a low segment for business, there will be specific media. For example, if it's CS or Barcelona, worldwide, so lots of journalists. Everyone with iPhone is a journalist.
Yeah. It's important to understand the journalist positions. They are looking for news. They are looking for something to cover. And if you know that, please give them news. Try to plan your news for the event if you can. You can get much more coverage than trying to reach them alone because of the event. Try to produce pre-event press releases about what news are going to present. It's also important. And also so that you are in the radar, they know that this is a company who is presenting this, so they know that they can plan a visit to come to you. Especially when you have huge trade fairs with tens of halls and no journalist can visit all the booths. They are picking and they want to know what is in news, so plan accordingly. Make it available, the information for them, cooperate with the trade fair press team about, can you present something during the press conference? Can you maybe host a VIP? Some group is going to go around in the trade fair, look for the news. Maybe they pick up your booth. So be active there. Not in the very last moment, plan it before and try to really put all the big news for the event in order to get it maximized. Okay, so there is a lot of things you can do in the trade fair. The most important thing is that you really prioritize and you understand how you get maximum out of the goals. There are so many different things, and often it's about very detailed planning, both pre-fair planning and also what do you do during the fair in order to get everything done what you have planned. And in that sense, if you put all it together, then you see that, okay, maybe the investment pays off. If I can work with all the goals, have different goals for different parts. Okay, let's go on. Then we have, in general, I just draw here a planning circle, really. The first to start with a trade fair strategy. And I think the first question you who are in our advanced program is really, do we need a trade fair or can we do without? It's the first question. Trade fair is not something you must do. It's an option. And what is an alternative? Often the question is, okay, I have my wish list. These are the top 50 customers. These are the top 20 customers with whom I want to work with. Do I really need to go to a trade fair that has 90,000 visitors and trying to find my 20 out of the 90,000? It doesn't happen really. And what usually happens that you find 100 and maybe 5 of them are somehow okay. But it's a really, really miracle if you find those whom you really need. So it might be that they say, okay, instead of going to trade fair for 10,000 euros, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, depending where you go. Okay, maybe I can hire a consultant for a couple of months who can open the doors for me, for my ideal customers. Bring me to the first meetings, and then we can already discuss the business opportunities. So this is always another strategy. Of course, there are many depending on what field you are. And then if you say that, okay, we still think that the trade fair is the best. It might be often, for instance, when you are in the business-to-business market, but you want to diversify your portfolio. We have a case study about an Estonian company telling how they developed from country-based agents to a diversified portfolio. And the problem with the country-based agent was that they were working good until the recession. And then they couldn't manage because they just dropped the orders and it was very difficult for the company, and that's why they needed to diversify the portfolio. And they say that the trade fairs is the only thing we do to guarantee that we can manage future recessions as well. So there might be a very firm understanding why you need it. Maybe this is the only place where all the players of your field gather, really. It's the annual event, everyone is there. If you want to be perceived part of them, you just have to be there with your own booth. Not just a visitor, because they want to know you in order to to trust you. So there are some reasons why you choose that the trade fairs are important for you. So make sure that you know.
Could you also tell what you think about participation in major trade fairs versus regional trade fairs, small ones? Because I will not tell what the product was, but there is a grand trade fair in the United States, and there are hundreds of local trade fairs, and they are different. And to participate, local trade fair, it's together trade fair and selling place. You can sell products there. And there you are much closer, it's kind of hands-on, distance with people. You do not have to show off so much. It costs maybe 100 times less. So you may afford 10 or 15 trade fairs of small scale instead of big one. So which considerations vote against one or another?
I think that then, I think that the critical question is, who is my target group? Who am I really targeting?
If we are talking about, sometimes Ukrainian small and medium companies, they think, well, I will go to the biggest one.
Okay, then go to the smallest one.
Is it really justified? Because they do not necessarily, they're not necessarily capable of selling so big volumes to correspond with those big players.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And there was also one question someone asked, that how do I know that I'm ready? What I see in Estonian companies, I've told you a lot that Estonian companies, everyone knows that they need to export. And then they are going to fair. They are going to, for instance, to CL China. Asian, one of the biggest food sector fairs ever. And then I looked at, okay, how much do you know the Chinese market? Is it really the market you want to enter? Oh, Asia is good. Okay. How big are you? What's your export turnover? Yeah, we just started last year. And then I think that, yeah, and it shows China as a first market. Okay, think over. I think the main question is that really look from the strategic point of view. The same thing. Can you cover the sector? And China, really, maybe you take a local province there. With 4 million people, you go to the local fair, you are a big player from Europe, or a considerable player from Europe, you get a lot of attention from the local media, you get
the cost is so much less.
Absolutely. So I do really believe that it's not only the big fairs. Of course, maybe the situation also why Estonia is different, we just have the niche players. The market is so small, we don't have the major players at all. So that's why I even suggest that, okay, go to the events of your niche, really. Try to be very exact. And then we come to the next point, that how to choose a trade fair, really. That's the same. Yes. The big one, or the local one, or where to start grow. And I think that the best experience to start to grow is from the local ones, really. Try to choose wisely. But also the second suggestion is that please go first as a visitor to a trade fair, and then make a decision if it's the right one for you. Yeah, I know the Estonian companies loved Gulf food, really. Everyone loved to be in Dubai. Yeah, okay. Can you really work there? Do you really know what does it mean? And do you really know how to make business there successfully? They didn't. So it was a good trip, nice being there. A lot of contacts, hundreds, a lot of dinners, a lot of nice invitations and so on. Business? No, probably not in the next future. At least not for the 10 companies we sent there. Maybe the big players, of course, do business, but for the smaller ones, extremely, extremely difficult. So yeah.
You're now talking about Estonia government stand or Estonia local companies who stand with their local stands?
We have both. We have the local companies going there, and we have the government stand there as well, and both struggle.
But according to companies who are standing on the government stand, does government some kind of make choose for these companies, like a plan? Do you have?
Yeah, the problem is that they are not. The problem is that they are not. And that's why it's a very important thing that you really have to be ready. You have to know the volumes, you have to understand the basic laws, you have to understand the basic adjustments you need to do with the product in order to enter. All these kind of things, you have to do the homework really, and then choose wisely. What market? Probably what region. Often with the bigger markets, you have to start from a very certain regions, and the States market as well. There are some regions more for the creative industry, some for machinery. So pick wisely where you need to be, and choose the format kind of suitable for you. It's not just randomly selecting or going wherever the others go.
It may make even more sense if you make proper segmentation geographically, and you know which part of the country is of your interest. So you go directly to regional fair, and because in international fair, what is the chance that you will meet those exact people? And in regional fair, it's 10, 20, 100.
Absolutely, absolutely, I do agree. And of course, the segmentation logic is also that, yeah, in Estonia, we go to Beijing, we go to Shanghai. Yeah, why do you go there? Because the market is big. Okay, probably it's too big for you. So go to regions. Go to regions that are developing fast. Find your own niche there. You can be very, very successful, and also minimizing your risks with the business.
And people are much more approachable in such places as well.
And you can really be in local news. How can you be in local news in Beijing? No, never ever. But in the local area news, yeah, of course.
But in another case, I have an experience when we came to the local exhibition. It's about construction materials, and we found that at the small local exhibitions we can't find B2B partners. We find there are only end users, and so it's a problem because we were looking for partners, and there are only customers.
Okay, the same suggestion, visit it before. Go there, talk to people, talk to the participants, talk to the organizers. Watch how people, who they are, what they do. Do the pre-work, because it's much more expensive to go there with your own booth to just have a visit. You need to do the market research anyway. You need to meet potential customers anyway, potential partners. Talk to them. They will give you valuable information about should you go to the trade fair or not.
Yes, it's very good to know in advance if organizers are organizing special B2B programs before the event. For example, they devote one day for B2B meetings, organizing some presentations for each company. So you can know in advance which company you will meet there.
Yeah.
So for example, they are sending you the list of 100 companies, you're choosing, I want to meet this 30, and okay, and you're meeting.
That's very good also. We are running out of time. It's time for coffee break for 15 minutes, and we'll come back. And if there are any kind of other questions you want to discuss, I'm here and strategy, why is it important? And then of course pay attention to what I suggest about the design strategy. Google how the trade fair looks like, what type of booths there are, how many walls. Sometimes you see that there are no walls in whatsoever, there are just kind of empty spaces and you have to manage with that. Try to find out what the practice is and think how you will differentiate. Because if you are just one of the many that looks like the same, then it's really boring and people just don't come to you. So find out and do your background research. And then the pre-fair marketing. Of course, it depends on the trade fair, really, how early you start, but often it's about a couple of months at least, maybe 3 months before. It's good to say that, okay, we are going to be in this trade fair, to send out the first mailings, to use a signature or all the communication materials that the fair organizers provide you. Be there in good time. The longer you are visible before the fair, the more people have chance to see that, okay, you are probably there. It just works. So let the work done for you. Then you have to understand what or not even understand, but you have to organize the actions during the fair. I'm going to go deeply in. So what is exactly happening in the booth? How are you attracting the customers? What are you doing? What tools do you need for that? How you approach them, how you have built up your team, how the team is working in the booth. So all these things are what is happening there. And then the post-fair. The post-fair development, what you see is that it becomes quicker and quicker. Usually it used to be in the old time, but okay, I send you the price lists during the next week, is the promise you give. But what we see today is that after the fair, sometimes it's even during the lunch break, you see that you see the contacts coming in from LinkedIn. They want already, yeah, we met you in your booth. They are sitting somewhere having lunch and already finding you in LinkedIn and trying to have a contact or in different apps. So it becomes quicker and quicker. And it's important that you manage your time and energy during the fair so you can manage all these things that are exposed or expected. And then the evaluation, and I come to that as well. There are some points you take a look and then you ask that, okay, did we do the right thing? Did we get maximum out of the fair, and what's the learning? And you come back to the trade-based strategy, and often that's, okay, was it the right fair? Was it the right place? How should we become more better? So this is kind of in a nutshell. Now I'm going to go deeper in to the things that concern the trade fair. But before, I don't remember now if I've shared or someone have shared with you the table. No, okay, those who have been. Okay, if you haven't, then I think it's a good exercise. Do this before you go to the trade fair. And this means that please consider all the aspects, what kind of partner you really need. Okay? And there is one column, must. Must have, need, and nice to have. And really consider clearly, because what happens in the trade fair, the 100 or 200 contacts, they are kind of random. And especially when you want to sign a contract with someone that is more than just one deal, you probably would need a bit more and have a clear understanding whom we need, of course. Let's start with the finances. If you have a problem or difficulties with finances, and it's important that, okay, we want a prepayment actually, we cannot even produce before prepayment, then it's important for you to understand, okay, has the company sufficient enough or good enough financial situation, then you can accept prepayments. Okay, is this important for you? If you say that, okay, we don't care, we have enough money, we can produce, we can send it, it's okay if we if they send money in 100 days or 180 days. Okay, we don't need to put a lot of attention there. If you have problems with the cash flow and think that, okay, I need to do the deal today because tomorrow or next week I need to pay out salaries and I need to have money in then you have to be really, really careful, understanding that, okay, we are choosing a company who does not have cash flow problems. Because otherwise, if they have problems with the cash flow and you have, you two just don't match. So these are the things you really think about when choosing a partner. About the referrals, it's often good that you know who is referring them. Are they really good partners? Maybe one-off deal might be okay. I just shipped the things what they wanted and that's it, and that I don't care more. But if you are there to find a long-term business partner, probably you should check. How are they? Are they really fulfilling the promises? Are they good? They want to be an agent, okay? What type of companies do they really have been working together? Who can tell that they are a good agent? Are they really working hard from a brand? Especially in the trade fair, when they come to you and say that, okay, I want exclusivity for China. I want exclusivity for Arabic countries. I want exclusivity for France and Germany and part of the Europe and so on. You have to be absolutely sure to whom you're giving it. Okay? The ownership structure. Often it's easier when it's a family company. You know that they might be quick in decision making. It's much more difficult when it's a multinational. The decision making can take for months and months, and you actually even don't have a clue how to interfere or how to influence the results, and you're just drowning in the system. Okay, current products and services. What kind of experience do they have in your field? Have they sold something like that? Have they success cases? Or is it the first time they want to try, and then why? Why do they think your product is important for them? This is a part of the motivation as well. I need to understand what role is the product playing for them. Then I understand that, okay, does it seem reasonable for me? About brands, have they been working with brands? It's important when you say that we want to get our brand represented. If they have no understanding how to work with brands, it's a very difficult match, because then you have to learn have to teach them. It takes time and money, and probably it's very, very difficult. So consider this. Quality and price level. Often the thing is that you say that, okay, we have higher quality, we have higher prices. Do they have the channels to reach the higher pricing, or the higher price, or the luxury segment of higher pricing retailers, for instance, or any sales channels? Do they have any experience from that? If they don't, then it's a problem for you, because it will take a very long time until they get there. Okay? About service and maintenance, do they do it themselves, or do you need an additional partner? Or if they do, then to how far? So also the thing to consider, if it's important for you, who the main customers are, and how well would you fit in? If it's something that is really kind of understandable, okay, we see that they are representing those customers, we could be part of the portfolio, then it's a good match. What type of know-how they have? Do they know the field, the brand? Coverage of sales team. This is very important. How many people do they have in the sales team? Where are they located? China, okay. Are they only one guy in Beijing, or do they have really a countrywide coverage? And it's so often we see that we want exclusivity for China. Yes, we have one guy in Beijing. And then you say that, okay, it doesn't fit really. So this is the discussion we should be now. Okay?
May I ask you?
Yeah.
When would you suggest to fill in this profile, and how? Is it for orientation purposes on which type of questions to ask during trade fair, or it's for my research after the trade fair? How to use it?
Okay. I just cover and I come back. Okay, the motivation was, and the personal connection is something that you say that are the people cool to work with together? Do we like each other on a personal level? Would it be nice to do business for 20 next years? And this is sometimes an internal feeling to say that it's such a cool team, I really would like to cooperate with them. So it's also important. And if there are any other requirements, I would suggest you, for the first, to consider yourself within your company, what type of partners you really need. And then you can discuss also what kind of trade-offs you can make, because there is no ideal partner. You have to really look. So this is the thing, so everyone knows that we are looking this type of partner. This is our, I don't know, the shape where they need to fit in. Then in a trade fair, probably you don't have time to figure it out all, because you probably should check the references. Often it's so that you probably should check is the company really existing? Because often you get the business card and you see that there is no that type of address. There is not in this city, there is not that street, or there is not that number of houses, or there are apartments in the houses and not offices. So you really need to check the background, of course the credit background. But of course in the fair you can ask a lot. You can ask about the references, customers and so on. But I can also I'll explain a bit more when you can ask this type of questions in the process what I suggest. Okay, but this is just the homework before fair, that you have clear understanding whom we are really looking for. Otherwise you're wasting a lot of time with the wrong companies or wrong people approaching you, and you maybe don't pay attention to the ones you really need. Okay. Then from the planning point of view, I wanted to go again, but in the planning we talked a bit already about the goals, big crystal clear what you want to get out, the location and visibility. And now I come to draw a bit again. The location of the booth and visibility are important things, especially the location. And often I know that it's difficult in the big fairs. Maybe in local fairs it's easier to get a better place. In the big fairs it's difficult as a newcomer to have a very good place. But you have to work with what you have. And first of the things what I usually do is that I take, okay, when we choose the place for the booth, then there are some rules. I try to choose the first floor, not the second if possible, because second floor always has less visitors. But it's also, let's say that I have a booth here, and here is the hall, and here is the main entrance. And maybe there are some more booths, and there is a stand that just had some kind of shape like this, and there is a stand, and there, and there. And I know that if this is entrance, then people will come in, and probably if this is one of the main ways, probably the traffic will be like that. Probably. This is my prediction. If I have been there, if I have been in the same place, I already know how the people will flow. Then it's important for me, if I know that this is really the active part, then it's important for me, I usually suggest to build up, if possible, depending on how big the stuff is, 2 or 3 layers. The first layer, often, let's say that I have a small team here, maybe I have just one person here, maybe one person here, and this is the front line, or this is the people who are somehow acting as filters. They say hello, they approach people, whatever thing I have, how to approach. And their question is filter out with the main, really very main questions about, do we have any interest towards the person or not? I was in a design fair, and in a design fair we were looking for partners for our design companies. And I didn't have much to work with, but I had a tray with candies. Estonian candies on the tray, on my hand. And my first approach was, hello, would you like to try? During that time, I had the chance to come here, because usually the badge is somewhere here, so I have to really look. And on the badge, there were 3 options. Owner, buyer, or designer. Okay? I knew that I was interested in owners and buyers, because designers I didn't have much to do. During that time, I had to, how does it taste? Wow, what is it? What is in it? It's this and this. Do you like it? It's a very special taste. This was our first approach. What, by the way, what do you do for business? Are you an owner? Yeah, I see. What do you own? You have this type of company. Okay. What field? Are you making toys? Good. If you're a toy company, we have something special for you. Please come and please come and talk more with my colleague. And that's it. This was my short introductory conversation with everyone. And it was important to keep the conversation very short. It was about 30 seconds, sometimes 30, 40 seconds, because then I already, when I turned you to my colleague, then I already take something, would you like to try? So a very, very quick. And the key there was, we didn't have a good booth. We didn't have a nice visual, really. We had to be more active talking to people. And if you offer them something, it's so easy for them to say yes, and they are standing and start the conversation. Of course, the longer the first conversation is, the more people I need, because otherwise I see that there are a lot of people just passing by until I do the first conversation with someone. So, prepare for that. If you know that there are many people passing by, depending on the traffic really, sometimes it's very high, sometimes it's very low, but it's really easy to start. And if I say that, okay, you're a designer, yeah, I understand. What do you design? It's very cool. We are from Estonia. Unfortunately, today we have nothing special for you. But have a nice day and enjoy here. And that's it. And I finish the meeting. I finish. They are very happy. They move on, and I can go to the next person. So this is the first approach that is really easy to have. Take some, I don't know, Ukrainian lemonade or candies or whatever things you have. It's always good to offer something. And on the first here, I almost don't talk about product at all. It's just filtering, trying to understand who you are, okay? And then, when I filter it out, I have my colleague here, okay? Yeah, she is very interested in this type of things. Can you tell her more? Are my words, okay? I'm passing you over, and then, okay, you are doing what? We are doing this, and then I can have a more deeper conversation here. Okay? And if I have the luxury and I have more people, then sometimes I here have a table, and around table I have some chairs and maybe some glasses of water, biscuit or something, with someone who is really a perfect match. Yeah? The shape like that. Okay, we should talk a bit more. Would you have some more time? Then I ask you to sit down, and maybe I have someone talking to you more. Maybe it's a more senior team member, for instance. Okay, what your interests are, what you do. And here, in this layer, I can do more about the profiling, really. Going deeper in, trying to understand whom you work, what your interest is, how should the business match. And this is here, takes longer time. Until the talk here, I work here in the front line, just kind of filtering out the new people and trying to understand what the interests are. Sometimes in the fair, it's helpful for you when people have different types of cards. Sometimes you have different, what's it called? Yeah, different colors of ribbon. You know already that the yellow is media. Okay, if it's media, then I have to approach them kind of all the time. I cannot just let them to pass through, because I will always find something for them. Sometimes I have different for different professions. Okay, then it helps me already that I know that I'm going to target the right person, because often there is a group of 2 or 3, maybe 5 or 6 or 10 coming, and I need to make a very quick decision whom I'm going to approach. And with this type of approach, it's not very kind of intrusive. They don't feel that I'm too aggressive, because I'm offering them something, and we talk about something else. And it might be also that with my first question, when we get the context finally here, or in this layer, then often I come back that, okay, you remember the lady, often I don't know your name, I don't know, okay, the lady who had the toy stores, or the buyer from the toy stores. By the way, she told me they have very few of these type of products. Okay, this is the comment I put in the contact card also, that I get the information, because otherwise you don't remember afterwards who is telling you what and what the details are, but you really want to get as much as possible out from the very short time. And of course, this table here, now if I'm set, if I have been in the fair for years, then I have this meeting area bigger and bigger for different groups, and maybe separated boxes, or maybe I use a 2-layer box. Upstairs is the meeting room, and downstairs is just for everyone who passes by. Or I do as the Estonian company, I just close it and say that I don't have anyone, I have just doorkeeper here, because all the other rooms is devoting for meetings only and nothing else. So depending on my strategy. But this is really the first approach. Please discuss this with the team. Who is there? What feels okay for you? Because people need to be comfortable in this situation. The problem what mostly happens is that I try to sell them. I go, hello, we do these things, we do this and this, and then what I see, the other person is is there. Maybe they never stop because they want to move on. It's not interesting for them at all. Or then I see that I'm standing here talking, and the other one is talking, watching at me, and then the foot is already going. You see this type of behavior. I want to go, but I'm still polite. And then just stop. Just say, have a nice day, have a nice fair. Maybe we see you again next year. But whatever the things are, but you can say stop the thing because you're just selling too quickly. I know the pressure on sales, but often it's kind of making the first contact really. Showing that you're a nice person, you're nice to talk to. She was so interested in what we do. So these are the things often that work here. So this type of setup could be considered as one of the possibilities. Of course it depends. If you have something to demo, then probably you cannot cover all the place with the frontline people. But maybe you have your demo area here, or you can have your demo area here, so people can see it. So really think through, what are you going to do in the fair? We have had, as I told, I'm coaching a couple of teams, and we have had to struggle with that people say that, okay, trade fair is a place that everyone who works in the booth has to have a place to sit at. And it's absolutely wrong, because mostly you don't have a chance to sit, because if I would sit here, it takes me such a long time to stand up and move, the person has passed already. I need to be there, I'm half a meter out from the box, because otherwise if I'm too far, then I'm already, the others don't like me, they say that I'm coming to the area, but I'm half a meter out and really welcoming and greeting people, whoever is passing. So, so this is for the location and visibility. Sometimes, you see, I've had more of the fairs when we have not a very good location. Sometimes when I see that, okay, I expected the traffic to be here, but it's not. Maybe we see a few people because here is something very, very cool happening, so they all just go on. And it happens very often that, oh, there is the big brand, or there is music. Yeah, someone is singing and doing, they are going there. Then I often say that, okay, I would put one person here and tell them, okay, welcome there, take a look there, we have this interesting thing. So I'm like a, how it's called, the policeman who is driving the traffic. Okay, please come to us, please come to us. Or if I have booth on the second floor and the traffic is on the first, please come upstairs, there is exhibition upstairs as well. So this is my only role because I need to get traffic to my booth and I cannot move the booth. So it might be that I need to put another person there just doing, and it works relatively well. It's so strange, people just don't think. If you say that they have to go there, they go. You don't need to give them any flyers, because they tell that I don't want your flyer. But if you say that this way, please, they go. They don't even ask, they just go, because they think that it's needed. And it's kind of, it's logical, because this is something that happens because our brain functions like that. And if you really don't communicate, if you start talking too much, then they realize, yeah, that, okay, I'm not interested. Please go that way. Go. No one asks. Okay, one person out of 100 maybe asks. Maybe one person out of 1,000, but it doesn't bother you. But you wanted to add something?
Yes, we just had a similar situation when our target audience was, the exhibition covered two pavilions, two different halls, and at the exhibition we found out that our target audience is men in the second pavilion, and we are in the first one. So, but we had in advance some souvenirs. It was Turkish company, so we prepared just this blue eyes on the pin with the label of our company and the address of our booth, and we sent our promoters to the second pavilion. They were just given this small blue eyes, this traditional, I don't know, Turkish one. And people, please come to our first pavilion. And you will not believe, but the main audience came from the second one to the first, because they were interested. What is that? What are your company doing here? It was very successful.
Yeah, and it's really simple. So don't overthink. Just tell them they have to go there, and they go. But you have to tell. They don't realize it themselves, and you might lose a lot. So this is the way how to work with the location what you have. Really, you have to do best out of it. Of course, if you come here to put your music and if the coffee smell is very strong, then probably the coffee will attract them also. But often the smell is not very strong. The smell is just local, so you cannot have a wide attraction. Music might help here, okay? And of course, if you have something kind of red jackets or yellow jackets, something can also draw attention, okay? Then this is important, and based on the location, really the concept, what are we offering, what are we providing, what's the fun part of the fair as well, because it's not only kind of the hard sales that please buy now. Then about the budgeting, I would just, it's probably not the full list, but often you forget the cost of the samples you need to have there. You forget the logistics of the samples. And often you forget also that, okay, how can I really get in alcohol to Saudi Arabia or to Arabic countries? Are there any other laws? And often to find it out and to know how much would it cost and so on will take you additional time and money. So think through how you do that. Then about accommodation, personnel, also about the events. What I really suggest is about either you have your home seminar or at least you host a reception or dinner. It's the most efficient way to have really deeper conversations, not just something you have in the booth. Of course, with these people here around the table, you can already agree that, okay, we have dinner tonight, would you like to join? We are in this restaurant. You can have kind of more out from the communications. About the marketing communications and pre-event communications, it's also important that you budget for that. And also catering, so that you have fresh water and maybe some fresh candies and I don't know, chocolate or whatever here for the people as well, so you have planned it. Because the rent and design and these things are maybe more kind of logical seen. Then it's important for planning also that you plan for team and working schedules. If you staff your booth like that, then you need to know that there is always someone in the front line creating a meeting. You need to know that there is also always at least one person behind you who can take the conversation. If you leave a person alone in a booth, the scheme will never work. And you know what happens? A friend Facebook helps. You take mobile, you think it's such a terrible event. What are the news at home? And that's it. And you lose everything. So it's important to think, how many people do we need? How many people do we need at that place? And of course it's a difference. I had here a short wall of traffic, but it might be that your main traffic is here. And then maybe you have almost many people, because it's such a big traffic flow, you have to have many people working here in order to maximize the benefit from the fair. So this is why it's important that you can plan your stuff. Okay? And of course, to tell them also what the roles are, what are they supposed to do in these roles, and also that you are flexible enough that you can change. Okay, if there are more people passing by, we put someone to the front. If there are less people and we are queuing here, someone comes and helps. It's teamwork, really. Okay, and then of course be ready for the contacts, quick contacts afterwards. So now we go to the pre-fair marketing. We told already about what you can do. And it's about the visibility and creating trust. What I've seen that really underused channels for Estonian companies, at least, are everything that is the trade fairs organizers channels. They provide you often a lot. In some of the trade fairs, they have Facebook fans of, I don't know, 100,000 of fans. Thousands of Twitter followers, and these are all the people who have voluntarily there wanting to get the news. And you as a company have to realize that you alone will never get this audience. So work together, plan for that, and really use all the communication possibilities what they have. And I know often companies telling that it's so expensive, but please budget for that. I know it's expensive, budget for that, because otherwise, what be the worst? Are you visible, or if you are not visible, you are spending a lot of money and don't get any results, so why do you go there at all? So if it's important, then maximize really the visibility, and then you can expect also a good traffic flow. And then marketing materials, about paper or electronic. Still, I think the current practice is that there are more and more electronic materials, but still something in the paper. Often, I just had a discussion with Estonian exporters about the materials. We had a training yesterday. And the discussion was that it often depends on who is the target group. This was a sector about wood and timber. And they told that wood and timber industry, our average customer is male in 50s and 60s. Yeah, I can have an app, but they don't care. They want to have a paper, really. So probably it's a question. When you go to the Barcelona mobile world, I don't know how much paper you really need. Maybe you can do everything with an app. But often it's still good to have some paper in cases someone asks. And you, of course, we know that most of the paper is just thrown away after you leave the fair. Because it's so heavy to carry, no one wants it. And then they say that, okay, I throw it all the way and buy some, I don't know, goods, I don't know, bottle of wine with me, and that's it instead of the paper. So this is what often happens. And I wouldn't say that you should really remove all the paper. There should be something, but the leaflet probably shouldn't be the only thing. Okay, and then the important really scheduling the meetings, all the business-to-business matchmaking events. Use everything what you can, really. When you're already there with a lot of stuff, with a lot of investment in time and money, then use it. And then, of course, seminars and conference. And the seminars and conference really work that way, that you are part in the official program. The organizers are promoting seminars and conferences separately. Yes, to back you up and to guarantee that there are at least some listeners, promote it so that people kind of sign for the seminars. But visibility and trustworthiness is something you really get out of the seminars that is important. This is really our lesson learned from our projects. And then about the marketing materials, I just put here a list what you should think about. Maybe something is not valid for you, but make your choices. Business cards, of course. There are so many people running around in the fairs that say that, oh, I just ran out of business cards. Okay, try to plan them. But it's more important that really that you collect them efficiently as well. Presentation materials. Something, of course, the presentation materials is used on this layer, more about what do we do. On the first here, you actually don't present much because it's just the qualifying. But presentation materials, what the product does and what the benefits are. References. Often show the names of the companies of the country. You go to France, show the names if you have. Maybe you have done some. We have a very good story, our Mission Germany project, when we help Estonian exporters go to German market. And there was this one company who was making advertisements, the light boxes. And they told also that they are strong in Scandinavia, they want to go to Germany. We had this German consultant visiting them, and they showed the booklet with references. And the only thing the consultant should, okay, you have worked with this German company, you have worked with this German company, oh, they are big in German markets, so this is something that works. Okay, the story behind was that the German company's subsidiary in Estonia was the advertising company's neighbor. Okay, but it's still a German company. Well-known brand, so show with whom you have been working. So the references are very important. Again, generating trust. Show that we work with these big brands. Promotion materials. Whatever things you have, bring with you. Invitations to clients. It might be pre-fair that you send the pre-invitations. Often it's important, not even for the big companies, but for the smaller ones. The bigger ones can get a lot of invitations anyway, but the smaller ones might be very happy and come and visit you. Keep a press release. Even in a case when you don't have a big news, prepare something that when the journalist comes, that you can show that, okay, we are this. Name tags, price lists. And the price lists, I think it's important that, again, the China case, that do your homework and please calculate how much a product will cost shipped to China. Not just X Works, your local factory, because no one will understand the price really. What's the end user price? What's the distributor price? Gift bags. The gift bags, I don't think that you should give to everyone, but I think that in this part, when you really have a meaningful conversation with someone who seems to be a perfect match, it would be nice to give something. Okay, I have a small gift for you to just remember and maybe for the future, good future cooperation. Maybe you need 10 of them, maybe 20. Often not more, but that might be good. Format loans, contact cards. The contact cards I come back to, and the meeting schedule, with whom you have agreed meetings, and then you know that this table either is booked or you have another table for the meeting, so you know that it's kind of scheduled and planned.
What do you mean by name tags?
Name tags, badges. Yeah. In the contact card is something you fill in. Not here. Here is just the filtering. Here you don't have time to fill in anything. But here in this layer, these are the people who are more interested and these are the people from whom you can ask contacts. What should you ask? Please ask company name. And afterwards, please check if the company exists. Then ask the contact person and the role. And it's so often they write you that they are the sales director of some company. And then you find out that they just supposed to be an agent and working with the company for 3 years ago. But they just wanted to show a big name, so try to understand if it's real. Type of the company, what kind of interest they might have, and also any kind of random comments. Maybe we, I don't know, had a joke together, or maybe they told something that might be important. Maybe it was comment from the front line telling that pay attention to that. To whom we talked to from our booth, who was the person, you probably have several there, business card, and then according to the new law, if they want to receive a newsletter, tick the box. If they want to receive personal offers, tick the box, at least you're somehow covered, if you have it on the paper, okay? And next time I will tell you about the law again. This is the minimum you can ask. Maybe you shouldn't ask more as well, because it will take time. If there are some other profiling questions, probably you cannot ask about the credit history there. This is something you need to check yourself afterwards. If there are some more important profiling questions, are they agents or distributors? Probably what type of company will give you a hint. Are we sellers? What kind of territory we're interested in? But ask.
What is the trick of getting a business card in exchange? Because usually a person, a visitor, he gets your business card, but doesn't give a business card in exchange. Like, does it mean that?
Why not? Why don't you ask?
Okay, he doesn't want to share his contact details.
Okay.
What is the trick of getting the business card in return?
There is no trick. The question is that, for the first, the front line here doesn't get any business cards, because then you are just filtering. And
yeah, I mean,
okay.
Just after the conversation,
yeah.
After the involvement.
Yeah, okay. Then you talk a story, and let's say so. Often it's okay. I put a note who you are and what your interest might be, so you have already the.
Because sometimes people say that I forgot, I'm running out of business.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes it's a lie.
Yeah, it's of course it might be a lie. But then I said, okay, we have a contact card here. Can you fill it in? What's your name? If you put the company name, so you have already the paper or the blank paper, the paper with filled in blank paper to give them. So you can ask them to fill in. But and sometimes they say that sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you a lot. It was still nice to meeting you. Have a nice day. That's it.
Yeah, but sometimes you feel that the person is interested, but he or she doesn't.
Yeah, but then you ask to fill the contact card, or you do fill it yourself. Okay, I put it down. What was your name? Okay, may I have a title? Sometimes you have the scanner. Okay, can I scan you? But don't scan the people who are not really interested. It's important that you really kind of try to fill
but that's one can feel that. But I mean, if you feel that the person is interested, but he doesn't want to share the contacts, and he says, I'll send you an email.
Yeah, but
and he never
yeah, but you cannot. Usually it means that they are not interested. They are just not saying it to you. Then
It's a euphemism for like I'm not interested.
Don't bother.
Maybe
Don't worry
it
about
was your competitors.
It might be. Yeah,
No.
might. Often it's so that they feel that they are impolite if they say that I'm not interested. And there are very few people who say that. They let you fill the forms and do all your work, and then they just go and throw your flyer to the next rubbish bin, and that's it. So that's a typical. If they don't want to share, there is no trick really. If they want to share, and this is a question that you try to understand, okay, why aren't you interested? Okay, you have a very good partner, yeah, I understand. That's it. And just you move on and take the next one. Because probably most of the 100 visitors in the fair are not your target customers anyway. If you're looking for the 20 or 40, really, only, it's a very small chance that you really fit the ideal customer, and then they say that no, I'm not interested. And if they are not willing to exchange data, you cannot push them. You can trick them, but it doesn't help you, because in the future, they are not becoming your customers. Just ask, be open. You can ask why. Why are you interested? What was that? What are you afraid of? Maybe not good phrasing, but why are you not interested? What turned you down, or what seems to be interesting for you? What is happening in your company? Would you think that you could use it? And often the questions, when I'm digging into that, what is happening in the companies, then I understand that. Oh, sorry, you know, this is my last week at the job. Okay, good. Thanks, Katja, that you told me. You hear it so often in the trade fairs. Oh, this is my last week, I will have new position, and I'm not really interested in this thing. It is just good to be here with my colleagues. There might be so many different motivations why people are there. So maybe you can just ask a bit more. But you cannot force or trick them with that.
Yeah, of course.
At least why wouldn't you just? Okay, then during the fair, there are some things I hear. Please pay attention to details. And the attention to details means that the stand is clean. You don't have paper card boxes somewhere in the corner. You don't have coffee cups, dirty ones. You don't have empty or half-empty bottles. You don't have biscuits from the customer with whom you talked, and so on. When you have a banner, it's clean and it's very neatly put there. It's not something that gives an impression that you don't care or you're not professional. It's so often it happens when you go around in trade fairs, you see how people behave. There are so many signs that they just forget to pay attention to. So all the details important. Clothing, how you look like, how you greet, and what to say to give a professional image. Then it's important also to work with your team. We have seen so many times that the management already understands how to behave in the fair. You have been in the training, you know we should do that and that. But then you send the other persons from the team to the fair, and they don't have a clue. And they are standing there and watching the Facebook or sending the mails. And that's it, because no one told them. And even if you tell them that you need to collect the contacts, they don't understand how. So this is a story that needs to be explained to everyone who is there. For us, it was a challenging part once, not long time ago, when we had change in shifts. And sometimes it happens that you have one team who is working there for half a day or one day. Someone is coming later, someone is coming earlier, and they are on a different planet of understanding what they do there. And then it's very important that everyone has the same instruction. And before the current person leaves the role, he gives a short introduction. I'm here, I'm doing this, this is the material, please put the things here in the table when you have filled it, and so on, so everyone knows exactly how it works. Because otherwise it creates confusion and also tension between people. When you in the booth tell someone that you are not doing it right, they are not going to do it better, but they are just angry on you. And this is what is the worst case. Then roles and schedules, everyone knows. When is my break? When I can go out? Because mostly, if you work in office, you are not used to stand on your feet for 8 hours or 9 hours. You get tired, if you haven't scheduled a break, then at 5 o'clock, you're like that. You just don't have energy enough to stand there to meet the customers. Okay? The motivation of staff. It's especially important here in the front line, because they are somehow creating the speed. The quicker they are, the quicker and proficient they are in filtering. These people cannot say that we don't talk to the people that were pushed into the booth, but these people decide the speed. And it's here to decide, am I going to approach everyone or just randomly? If I just approach randomly, then I say that maybe 80% of the people just pass by, and they have never chance to contact us. If I do it in a very systematic way, it's vice versa. Maybe I have some kind of queue here, everyone wants to see something, then people are already seeing that there's something happening, and maybe I can get 80% of the pass buyers to my booth. That would be a good statistic. But the motivation really, but it depends on the motivation of these people. One thing what we did in one fair, for instance, we had a motivation scheme that told that when you have to talk to 20 people, you can have a cup of coffee. Very easy. Count to 20, okay, I did the 20 contacts, I go out for a coffee, I'm back in 5 minutes, and then I do my 20 again. So the simple motivation scheme so that they can keep up the speed, because otherwise you're losing a lot. So the teamwork here is important. And then the other thing is important, and one thing is a booth, and then the other thing is working in the trade fair area. Seminars, conferences, networking events, parties, and it's a lot what you can do there. Please do so that you have enough people to maximize the benefits. In the seminar area, or in the seminar, you can be a presenter, you can be a panelist, and you can ask, you can tell someone, I would like to participate, to get the visibility. If you are as participant, it's important that you really think through how you can benefit from being a participant in the seminar. Be ready to ask questions. Raise your hands, present yourself, tell briefly about the company, and come out with a very good question. And everyone in the audience will see that, okay, wow, he probably knows what he does. And if there is something, any interest, they come and, oh, that was a good question, what do you think about this? So you have to be visible. If you don't ask, if you don't talk to your neighbors, no one will see that you are there, and you're just hearing, but you're not showing off yourself. And then the red jackets and yellow jackets always help, because they will remember that this was the guy with the yellow jacket. Oh, I've seen him during the fair as well. So use your clothing also to work for you. And then about trade area networking. Usually the best places for networking are where? Despite kind of, if you don't talk about the booth.
In a cafe.
In a cafe, where? Around the table?
Toilet.
Queues, probably. Toilet, maybe. Well, you can use toilets as well, but queues to toilets, queues to cafeterias. It's always good to think that, how did you like it, and is the food better than last year, and by the way, who you are and what you do. So it's so easy to start the conversation.
So there should be one person for queues in the staff.
Maybe, but maybe it's better to educate everyone to start conversations. Whenever you are there, just ask your people, start the conversation. You will stand there for 3 minutes. You can talk to at least 1 to 2 persons. One before you, one after you. And often the story what we tell there is not that, oh, hi, would you like to buy my product? Never. You ask how you're doing, what's the fair, what are you doing? I'm looking for someone who could help me in that. Would you know someone? This is okay to ask. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't, but at least you can have a talk. So this is the idea of the networking. Then, of course, sit in a different table, and if you plan for lunch, don't go with a team and sit around one table and talk to each other. Split, go to different tables, just sit down and start to talk. How are you? What do you like here? Are you here for the first time? There are so many easy questions you can start with. And then already the second question is, and by the way, what are you doing? And then we already just listen. With the big ears, small mouth, keep quiet, don't talk too much, and ask and let people talk. And then when you finish the meeting, they think that you are the world's best person because you listened. And you have a lot of information. What do they do, why they do, how they do, and what you will learn. Okay? Networking events. This is usually what happens after the trade fair official time is closed. Then there are parties in the booth. That can be, sometimes you have a rock concert there, sometimes you have just a local party, and often you say that, okay, there are a Swedish party, and then we go to German's party, and then we go to a Dutch party, and often it's so that you have to plan your energy so that you can go in the parties as well. There is just one rule.
Don't drink alone.
Don't drink alone.
Yeah. Okay. It's still business. Yeah. It's party, but it's still business. You are there to get contacts. You are there to show that you are a very good guy. We can even have a party together. But you have to be there in the booth tomorrow, next morning, fresh, so that nothing happens. And this is really a skill that you have to learn. But the parties are very, very useful. It's often the most useful time of the fair because then you can really talk to people. Talk to those people who never approach your booth. Ask for contacts, ask for help, and show you are a really nice person to work together. So it's really, really the most valuable time. Then about the teamwork in the booth. Okay, how to get the team working here, I already told. How to get the first contact. And this is discussed with the team. Where do the people feel comfortable? Because they really have to enjoy the work. How to manage the conversation. It means that what do we do in this layer? And often it's so that yes, we do ask again who the person is, where they do, but we do also a short presentation of what we offer, or if you have a special offer, we can present that as well. Maybe in some cases it's too early, maybe in some cases if you have really big news and people are queuing, it's very okay. So find the right solution for you. In the product presentation, what I've seen in working with my team, it's often so that people have different skills, and not even the skills, what do they do, what do they tell about the product, but often the skills that, oh my God, the mobile doesn't have a picture anymore. What happened? Can someone help to turn it in or on? So the kind of the basic skills. So make sure that everyone understands how to get the TV screen working and how to use all the tools in the booth. It seems really basic, but it takes such a long time so that everyone is coming and trying to help, and then people are just passing by during the time when you are trying to tell something or teach someone how to use different tools. Then about managing the invitation and press contacts. Then I wanted to talk about the concept that is important for me, is something we call a stage, on stage and backstage. On stage means when you are at the stand on the booth, it means you are on stage. You're performing a role. This is your role, or this, or this. There are no other roles. There is not a role, please call my child because something happened. If something happened at home, that usually happens when you are aware, then you go away from the booth, have your phone call, and come back and step to the stage and are willing to work, willing and able to work with the clients. And this is the rule. It means also that you don't talk to each other about yesterday's party. I know that you want to share how cool it was and what you did. Do it afterwards. Do it during your break. Go out from the booth. It's only the stage when you are in the row, and you are in the row. And then everything else. If you are too tired and want to break, you don't sit here around the table. You go out. You go to the backstage, there are often rooms for staff. You go there, take your shoes off, put your leg up, you can have a nap for 10 minutes if you need it. You eat there, you send your urgent mails there, and then you come back and you are present for the customers. You're not sitting there, oh sorry, I have urgent emails. You haven't paid the 10,000 or more to answer your urgent emails. Some secretary can do it at home, or you do it a bit later, or you go out of books. So this is very important, the understanding at the stage and backstage, what you can do there, okay? And then the other important part is also, when I put here kind of under the name arriving and leaving, often I talk that this is something when we say that we work on the edges. And the edges usually are the first opening hour in the morning and the last hour in the evening. Why are these times important? What happens then?
Because of active flow of people in and out? No?
Yes, but what else?
Maybe when you make preparation before the room open, you prepare some materials, and after it closes, you also just grab together all your contacts.
Yeah, but I mean the opening time. The first hour of the opening time, or first half an hour, and the last hour and a half.
You have a chance to catch the first visitors, because usually the first visitor is just coming and looking around, where should I go, because there is no active flow. So if he is looking or she is undecided where to go, and you have a chance to attract it. And the same, the last 30 minutes of exhibition, the hall is almost empty at the time, exhibition hall, and you have a chance also to speak more closely with the people who are just walking on the, between the booths and just looking for something.
Okay. Anything else?
Maybe the first and during the start and the end, the visitors are more motivated to find right.
Why?
I don't know actually. I just try to say my experience, because I know that it's end and then when I come back to Ukraine, to home, and start thinking, oh wow, I catch too many contacts in like the first hour and in the last hour, and all of those contacts was really important, and I still continue to work with them. So.
Often it's so that you get very important contacts, the first hour and the last hour, but what's the logic?
Because decision makers are trying to attend the event or before working day or after.
Excellent. Yeah. It's the logic of the decision makers. Often they spend all the day in the booth because they have planned meetings here all the day long. And they say that, okay, the morning first half an hour is my time, I take a look what is happening. Or the last hour, okay, now I'm out, I've done my day, I just want to take a brief look what is happening in the fair. And you see them just wandering around, and it's kind of easy catch for you in the case. When you arrived on the right time, and you prepared there, when you are half an hour late, you are kind of lost your chance. And the same thing, when you are too tired in the evening, and you're just sitting there and thinking, oh my God, 10 more minutes, I cannot stand up anymore, then you're just losing your chance. So that's why it's extremely important that you take your break meanwhile, that you keep your energy level up, you have break, you have your food, because you know it's really, really kind of energy consuming, but you have to be fresh at the beginning, at the end. Of course, meanwhile as well. So that make your energy last, okay? Then about coffee, snacks and cleanings in the booth. So there should be someone who is responsible for that, usually. Then about stockroom cleaning also. When you have samples, when you have booklets, and then you're running out of something in the front, someone goes to the stock and you say that, oh my God, I cannot find anything. And it takes such a long time to fill it up. So keep it tiny, keep it well as a small stockroom so that it's efficient and you can bring the materials to the front easier. And then what we also have understood that it's good to have someone who is called like a booth manager, who is the booth boss, who is telling that, okay, it's your break now, we will change, and who is keeping also on the eye that the booth is never empty. Sometimes it's so that everyone went out to the lunch at the same time, And he's standing there alone and doing nothing really. You cannot work alone. Or you can, but it's really, really challenging. So that's why. Sometimes we have had also cases with the booth managers when it's needed, when we have had customers who are really somehow annoying. I had a fair when I had a very drunk customer. And it was really, really difficult. And then you know, the drunk customer is here, standing for half an hour, and all the others are just running by. You need someone to interfere and say very politely, okay, I help you out, or can I, there is a bar area there, may I follow you there? So you just try to politely solve the solutions. It happens sometimes, not always, but when you are often in pairs, so there might be the cases. And other things as well. So this is about the teamwork, really, to maximize the results. And then what else? During the fair, manage your energy, proper shoes, and it's so, I'm always laughing. I tell everyone, low heels for ladies. And then I say one lady with a 12-centimeter heels. I thought that I can manage the first day. She could manage first hour. And as I had told them that there are no chairs in the booth, she was sitting on the table, or not on the floor, because she was just so tired. So kind of, yeah, okay. Comfortable clothes, long days, catering breaks, networking, dinners, parties, celebrations, so that you have managed your work almost 24/7. And it's very often you arrive at 5 o'clock to the hotel, you have 2 hours sleep, you are back, but you know that this is just for the short period. It might be that you are there for 2 days and the other one is for 2 days, then you can just give you save your energy. Then about the milestones. This often helps to keep the motivation up. I told about the coffee tricks after 20 contacts, but we have also had, for instance, we had sometimes, yeah, we want to have 100 business cards, and now, yeah, we have 100, okay. It's a very good emotion in the booth. You don't need to shout it really loud, but okay, now we have it, good, let's go on. So just help to keep the energy is important. Then also PR during the fair. All the social media channels show people that you are there. And it's also important because during the fair PR team will cover it a lot. And they are more than happy when you do, I don't know, Facebook direct sendings or something, or Facebook Live. They're very happy to promote it, to show that, yeah, there is a lot of vibe and everything happens and it's so cool. Also conference programs, so this is all what I already told. And then after the fair, already told about that, fill the promises. If you have promised to send something for next Tuesday, then do it. Especially, for instance, if you're in Germany or somewhere. But know also that often the most active competitors send their information already during the same day. It might happen. So be prepared for really quick after work. Then find the people in LinkedIn or WhatsApp or Viber or wherever they are, just contact with them. So it's also the first thing that you are interested in, and the people know that, okay, the foreign names are coming in because of the fair, and they are more ready to accept it. After the fair, they already know they already don't know who you are, from what fair, okay, should I talk to them, but during the fair, it's kind of easier. And then, of course, it's important that when I told that it's a long-term investment, then plan already that you have planned for the next step. Not only that we send the price list, what they asked, or the price offer, but we know that, okay, we are going to come to visit your country next month. Can we visit you? So try to agree already. Next meetings, next steps. In some of the fields in IT, probably you need to agree about NDA. That is often the first step, that you see that, okay, let's sign NDA, then we can move on. So the first steps might be different in different areas, but try to agree already what you do next, because you're starting to build a relationship. You just had the first contact. So build on that, so you can maximize the results. The evaluation. Yeah. Of course, the trade fair organizers tell you that there were 100,000 participants or 80,000, or the numbers are really big. And then you guess that, okay, how many actually passed our booth? Often you don't know. Of course, there are possibilities to count it, but I don't know even if it's kind of wise. Maybe it is. But often I look visually. Is my front line working? Do we get half of the past buyers? Do we get 70%? Do we get 80%? If we get less, then I say that we are not efficient. So this is kind of visual screening. Then amount of really contacts, how many like business cards or filled contact card we got, cost per contact, and also cost per lead. And if you compare the cost per lead, then what I suggest you that you shouldn't compare only the trade fairs, but compare cost per lead in general in marketing. What your other cost per lead, the kind of the hot contact or lead, something with whom you could really do a business. Prospect, yeah, really prospect customer. So try to understand how much does it cost, and you can always compare. If you do advertising in internet, the social media channels, is it higher or lower? And this is because the trade fair is just one tool of a mix of the marketing mix you can use. And then of course, the cost per purchase, really. And often I see companies telling me, especially in construction industry, when the purchases are very high, that okay, we are happy when we get at least one buying customer from the fair, and that somehow makes them lazy. And then I go back to them and say, okay, last year, how did it go? Yeah, last year it didn't go very well, we didn't get any. Okay, so it's very important, even if you see that, okay, if you get one customer, it's paying off, but you really have to work to filter out the one customer out of all the participants and visitors to really get it. And then of course, did we underspend or did we overspend? And often the question is, if we are worried that we underspend, often the question is that we didn't have any people, we didn't have enough people. We decided to put the money on booth, a nice booth, and it costed a fortune, plus logistics, plus assembly, plus reassembly, all the costs that you see, what is there, and then you think that, okay, we were thinking about sending 5 persons there, can we do with 3? Okay, and you start to cut down from there. And it often pays off because the people are frustrated, it's too many traffic, they cannot do, they are tired, and so on, and actually you cannot get the results. This is often, or the most often, what happens. But also it can be that I've been in a booth where we didn't have any kind of visual replacement at all because the rent was so expensive, and almost the company only could afford the rent. It was white walls with 3 posters and 4 pairs of shoes, and that's it. And you cannot work with this booth, but this was really that we ran out of money. Okay, we had 1 person there, and it's very difficult to really maximize the result with this type of thing. So there are costs that you need to calculate with. And my very last slide now. What the main mistakes? First, unclear goals. You really don't know how much should we push the visibility. And often it's so that we plan too late, and then we think that, okay, if you get 1 lead, it's okay, and then it seems that, okay, we're just standing there and giving booklets, and maybe someone is interested in us, and then that's not. Not right guests. It means that we are in the wrong place. We didn't check the fair before, and we wanted to have the partners, but then we found out that it's an end-user fair. Yeah, they bought a couple of chairs, but we really wanted to have agents or distributors, but they were not just there. Bad location of the booth, and somehow, and often it happens that we are just complaining of the bad location and not thinking how we can improve the situation. Then inefficient booth, and the inefficient booth often is that, as I say, that there has to be something that helps people to slow down. Maybe it's a huge visual. Maybe it's a very beautiful picture that works. Maybe it's something moving. Maybe it's something that you showed, virtual reality, something that happens that draws their attention to slow down, and then you can take the first step and start your conversation with the candies or no candies or whatever things you use. Then passive stuff. And this was awful. I was in a travel fair, and it was an Estonian booth of a big Estonian spar. And ladies were standing there, and I call it like, they were like wax statues, like that. Booklets in the hand, standing there. And when someone approached, they gave them a booklet, and that's it. And then I thought that, okay, probably it would be cheaper to have shelves there, just for booklets. You need to have an interaction. Though the passive staff doing anything else in the booth will think that the booth is like the working desk. They want to be very active, they want to impress the boss, sending thousands of emails during the fair, but they are not talking to people. Not working with the contacts afterwards. This happens because the trade fair is a week. And if you do, like I told, you're not answering the mails during the days, then you're ending up with 1,000 unanswered emails when you arrive to office on Monday. You try to dig in, new mails are coming, and then by the end of the week, you are done with your mails and urgent things, and then you have forgotten that, oh my God, we had a trade fair. So try to schedule so that there is an assistant in the office who takes care of the mails during the fair. It's the easiest way, because otherwise it's very difficult to focus on the new things. And it's just kind of vanishes. And when you come 2 weeks after, they just don't remember anymore that you were there. Ignoring competitors. Often it's so that when you don't put up this setup, they will do. And when they will get, and imagine if you are here, and they will get 80% of the visitors. And the visitors are here, and they are continuing here. They are not walking like this, just not. And if they are very efficient, then it's very difficult for you to get your customers. So you have to match, really. If they are active, you have to be active as well, because otherwise it's not working. Your company is not recognized. And this is always when you go there for the first year, second year, third year, no one knows. They have never heard the name, they don't know what field are you in, they haven't seen your product, they haven't seen your people. You're just not known. So that's why marketing before. Try to get them at least know something. Okay, I've heard about the company. It's the best probably what you can achieve during a couple of months of marketing or sending them information, but you have to do it. Weak administration, and this is so that often it's so that people are not in the booth when they should be, they come late, they leave early because they are tired, and so on. Bad conditions for staff, and often result because they are few, and they know that they have to be, I have to be there alone, or we are just 2 in the booth. We didn't have money for more. And then it's problematic because they don't have time for lunch, they are angry, they don't want to talk to customers and so on. And then bad budget management. Okay, try to keep the costs, but then it's kind of running over, and you see that the cost per lead is just huge after the fair. So mostly all the things happen, at least at the beginning. The more you go there, the more you learn, and the more you can avoid. Okay? Now we are 8 minutes in lunchtime already. Okay? Thank you a lot. I do hope, let's do so that we do the lunch break now, otherwise you're angry at me that I didn't it at the right time. And I go through the questions. If there is something I didn't talk about, I just pick a bit during the next session and cover a couple of questions maybe, if there are unanswered questions. Okay? But thank you a lot, have a nice lunch, and we start at 3. We start at 3. Okay?
Thank you.